What's good, Wagering World? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas, broadcasting live as always from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada, and here with my co-host, my guy, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. What's good, Spread Astaire? How are you?
Man, I'm excited for this weekend. We got baseball, we got football, we got basketball. And hey, a sport that I did great on last season, didn't watch much, didn't cap it at all, but you gave me the winners. College basketball starts up on Monday. What a time to be alive. I'm
Right.
feeling excited to be here today. So I can't
Yeah.
wait to hear you. And I know that, I focus more on the NBA and you really watch the college. But a lot of times, it really helps us both because when these young kids come in, hey, this guy got called up. Oh, I watched him play at Texas Tech. Oh, I watched him
Right.
play at Iowa, right? So
Right.
I'm excited to use some of your insights and keep making money on this college basketball.
Yeah, I look forward to college, man. We got the Maui invitation coming up. That's always a kind of prelude to who's going to be the best teams in college basketball. It seems like the same teams who were in that Maui invitation, especially the winner, is always around when March comes around for the tournament and everything. I couldn't be more geeked. Astros with another win, one game closer to winning it all. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the future. We got the hedge at the game six coming up since we said they were going to win in six. Last night my best friend was in town. They have the SEMA convention in Las Vegas this week. And as you know, I used to part on one of the leading automotive custom shops in Houston with my buddy, and he still is doing his thing out there. And he came in town, and we went to a really nice cigar bar inside of Caesars and had a pretty good time heckling those Philly fans who were pretty loud in there. We were outnumbered, but we still came out there with the victory, man. So, great time to be live, as you said. A great time to be betting sports. So much stuff going around in the world. We got Kyrie Irving just got suspended, which is a whole nother topic that we'll get to maybe next week. But let's get off into some sports today. The past, present, and the future.
All right, past, present, and future. And of course, we always start with the past. Let's go ahead and talk about our Eagles bet. Hey, Thursday night football is not the best product. Didn't have the most eyes on the game last night because, like I told you, I'm I don't cap the college, but I enjoyed watching that Coastal Carolina game more. I had NBA on my other TV there. Hey, that NFL Thursday night's having problems keeping my attention, but I know you tuned in. What did you think as the Texans kept it close against the Philadelphia Eagles?
We should have just bet the Texas plus 14. You remember I told you before we
Yeah,
started recording and during the broadcast that the Texans were going to cover the whole game. I got a little trying to be too smart and want to, get what I thought was the give me, which was the first half, because the way the Eagles come out the gates, as you know, they've led the league in scoring the first half. But also a stat that I didn't consider was that they give up like the fifth most points in the first half as well. So really the over was the better play on the first half for us. We did cash, the ticket for the game. I had the 13 and a half for the game, 14, but I tried to do the switcheroo where I took the Eagles first half and Texas for the game. I considered it being a backdoor, but actually the Texans came out pretty prepared this game and looked pretty good in the first half. And then Davis Mills became himself in the second half, throwing two interceptions. Um, just pretty much the same thing that I got from this as I've got from watching all of the Texans games, and that's that the Texans need to do everything they can to get a top draft pick so that they can pick the quarterback that they need to go with their team. Davis Mills can just stay around and be a backup. He's not a starter in the NFL. And also that the Eagles came in and they probably were a little bit feeling themselves, thinking that they were going to run over the Texas, and the Texas came to play ball the first half. We would have got the cover if Jalen Hurts doesn't fumble. They had the ball and were up 14-7 and were driving to take a two-possession lead, which we needed to cover the 7.5. But it ended up with Jalen Hurts gets sacked and he fumbles, and the Texans do a good job of recovering and then halt the drive and ended our hopes of winning the first half. But a great job by the Houston Texans keeping that game close.
all right. Let's talk about a ticket that we did cash, though. Coastal Carolina. Hey, our only regret there is we didn't take the money line. That team
Right.
looked great, and that game was a lot of fun. I've been enjoying those Thursday night games. And to be fair, I've been enjoying them more because you give me the winners. So I'm watching myself win money, right?
Right.
But I had a good time watching that one. I think this is kind of a fun product that the colleges are putting out on Thursday night. I think it's better than the NFL product. What were your thoughts?
Great game. As we knew, Coastal Carolina, like I told you, I trust Jamie Caldwell, the coach of Coastal Carolina, and I trust Grayson McCall. And he even brought in a backup. Jamie Caldwell is so sharp. He put in a backup who's known for running, and that's what really opened the game up. When he put him in, Appalachian State bid on thinking that the guy was going to run it, and here goes the tight end right up the seam off of a fake off of RPO, and he hits him, and they never look back after that. Just a tough place to go win at. It's to go win on the beach. That's what they call Coastal Carolina's campus. Is pretty tough. Those guys had that teal green carpet out there, and they come to play when you come step on that teal green grass, man. So just happy that we were able to cash that. As you said, we didn't get the money line. That's the only problem. But I did jump in live and take Appalachian State in the fourth quarter plus 13.5 plus 130 and got another ticket. So I did really well on that game. And it went just like we expected it to. Coastal Carolina's one of the better coach teams in the Sun Belt. And App State is as well, but they're just not playing as good. And they also have a new head coach. Their head coach is still cutting his teeth and learning a little bit about how to deal with the pressures of being a college football coach and getting these guys ready on Thursday nights and things like that. And what was most impressive is Coastal Carolina is one of the worst defensive teams against the run statistically. But last night, especially in the first half, they shut down Appalachian State's great running backs, and that forced them to make Chase Bryce throw. And that's what you want because, like I said, he's a good player, but he's inaccurate. And sometimes he can turn the ball over, and they weren't able to ever overcome a great lead that the Chanticleers got in the first half. So we did cash that.
Yeah, and I had a tough night with my pick as well. I gave us Oklahoma City, the Thunder, and they just came out slow. It was 21-4 at one point, right? That's the worst case scenario when you have one of those dogs, right? You want to just have this game stay close, right? Then Oklahoma City makes a push. I think it was 38-23. They won the third quarter. Hey, I'm feeling great. But this is what's tough about taking these dogs is you do know you are taking the inferior team, right? There's a reason they're catching 6.5. There's a reason that the Mavericks will be in the NBA playoffs again, maybe in the Western Conference Championship. And there's a reason Oklahoma City is going to be picking at the top of the lottery again. And that was evident as they were just completely outclassed. And I said Dallas Mavericks, excuse me, I meant Denver Nuggets. So that was a rough beat for me. And what was even rougher for me was, remember, I gave out the bonus of the under 229. It lands on 231. Just a little too many points there at the end as Oklahoma City simply could not defend the Denver Nuggets. So that was a tough beat for me as far as I don't necessarily hate my handicap. It was just a bad situation with them starting so slow. You never want your team to start so slow. It's so funny. If you have the favorite, it's not as discouraging when they get off to the slow start because you know that they're the better team and they can kick it into gear. When you have the underdog, those type of things can sink you trying to cover these spreads. So, hey, rough spot for me, but I'll get back at it. And one thing that I was able to do was cash that magic that we talked about. We said, hey, these Warriors, they're trying to play some development. And that same thing happened because Moody and Wiseman and those guys got those minutes. They're still not looking that good. And I know Warriors fans want to really be up in arms about this, but this is the price of development. This is the cost of development. And it's just so rare that a championship team is developing. I think they should be happy with what the Warriors are trying to do, but instead they're lamenting losses in November like that's really going to matter come April, May, and June when the NBA title is decided. So I still think it's a good decision for the Warriors, but we're going to continue to take advantage of that, right? Because people that just, go to work, they come home, they want to bet a game, they're going to say, hey, the Warriors NBA champ, Steph Curry, right? And they're not going to realize how these rotations work. So we're taking advantage of them catching these big spreads here. And let's be honest, Steve Kerr said it afterwards. There's a championship hangover. We saw this with the Bulls as well. I remember watching the Bulls in 95, 96. They would trail for 3.5 quarters. And then with about 6 minutes to go, they would get together in the huddle and they say, okay, guys, now we're going to defend. And they give up like 4 points in the last 6 minutes, right? And I think the Warriors have some of that attitude. We've talked about it before. One of the reasons the NBA is a bad product is the season's too long. The players know this. The coaches know this. And, it kind of sucks as a fan, but we can take advantage of it as a bettor. So it was rough not catching that OKC ticket, but we did get a dog home when the Orlando Magic actually won outright against the Warriors. We didn't even need the 9 points, although I thought we might at halftime down 63-55. I said, oh, man, this is going to be close. But right. Magic looked good. So, hey, great story for the Magic. And, sometimes these great teams, they don't look too good until it really matters.
The Magic, they're playing really good basketball. The main thing that I got from that game was Jalen Suggs is important to that team. He's really a quarterback for that team. And, that's what his other sport when he was in high school. He was a top-rated quarterback in Minnesota as well. He does a good job of bringing level-headedness to that team and putting fight in him. And your boy Franz Wagner he's a hooper, man. I like that guy a lot. And I told you I like Bo being in the starting lineup for them just because of that he gives. He makes things a lot easier on Banchero and on Carter by being in there with the way he plays, because he's not necessarily worried about offense. He's just worried about playing winning basketball, and that's always a good thing. The Warriors, I think that we're remembering the teams of the past, and we're not really understanding that last year was, I'm not going to say a fluke, but they caught a hot streak at the right time. And, of course, they're going to have a hangover because they didn't expect to win the championship last year. No matter how much they try to tell you that, it kind of just happened for them. And as the playoffs kept going, they caught momentum, and it kind of snowballed, and they ended up winning the championship. But this team still have a lot of difficulties. They have a lot of problems, especially on defense. I don't know what the hell type of defense they're playing right now. They're giving up the most points per game in the NBA. They gave up 77 points to Orlando last night. And anyone who watches basketball knows that Orlando is not an offensive juggernaut. There's no way they should score 77 points on you in the second half. And the reason why is because a lot of things we complain about LeBron about, we see this with the Warriors, with them being an older team, is when the vets are in, they just don't try as hard on defense this year, and it's simply because, as you said, it's the beginning of the year.
It's November.
It's November, but that's also, entitlement from winning the title, and it's also being old, like LeBron is like, I'm old, man. I'm trying, and I think that we're seeing a little fall off on defense from Draymond. Steph has always been a very good, underrated defensive player, and he hasn't gave much effort this year either. They're just going right around him. He's not running the chase out and close out on anyone. And, of course, Klay isn't nearly the defensive stopper that he used to be. So I honestly don't think Golden State gets to the finals this year. I think as the season goes on that this becomes more what we see. And I kind of think that they're going to do what the Rams are going to do, not falling all the way out the playoffs, but I don't think that they're going to have the season that people are thinking that they are, because you know how these seasons are in the NBA, man. A lot of times, I know it's like last year, they didn't start too hot and they finished well because the type of coach Curry is, but you can't play with fire, man. You get these teams getting confident against you like Phoenix, because Phoenix has really surprised me. I thought Phoenix was going to fall off this year. I could throw away that ticket for that under that I bought on them on under, 54.5, because they look locked in, So I just don't know if the Warriors get it done this year in the West. I just don't like what I'm seeing from them defensively.
Yeah, I'm not going to overreact too much to what's going on now, and we'll see. One thing I think about the Warriors is if they just need a top 4 pick. They've never been good either on the road, so I think that
they're terrible. That was our fade. Remember that? Yeah, they're terrible.
Play them at home and fade them on the road. So we'll see as this story continues to develop. But like I said, with the team with that pedigree, I'm not surprised that they're not even. I mean, they're treating this like preseason. So we'll just continue to fade them and make money, and we'll go ahead and after Christmas, right? We'll jump in and reevaluate this, but I wouldn't even worry about these November results when you have a team with the pedigree of the Warriors. Let's move into the present now. The first one we want to talk about. Hey, I don't know why they're getting rid of the Pac-12. They've got us plenty of good games this year, right? I think a lot of the fun games, and maybe it's just for me, I'm on the West Coast, so I'm more familiar with the programs, and it's not super late for us, right? You know, these games kick at 6, 7. It's a perfect time to relax on a Saturday night and enjoy some football. And we have a great opportunity to do that again when Oregon State takes on Washington. Washington's laying 4 points. How should we approach this game?
This is going to be a good game. One, we have the elements involved, and both these teams are from climates where they're used to playing in the rain. You got Oregon State, you know how much it rains up there in Corvallis, and then especially late in the season, and now you got also out in Seattle. Come on, you know it rains there more than anywhere in the country annually. And so you got the Huskies hosting the Beavers tonight in what should be a really wet affair. I think the winds won't be as much as a factor. I think there'll be about 12 to 15 miles per hour. We'll see how that affects the passing game. We know that Washington is more of a finesse team. They like to throw it with Michael Penix Jr., who's had a good season this year under first-year coach Caleb DeBoer. But Oregon State is tough, man. They're one of those teams who are very, very underrated. Jonathan Smith is a hell of a coach. He's coaching his alma mater, always doing a great job since he's been there. When he was the quarterback there, they won the Pac-12 and, you know, won a bowl game. I think they won the Rose Bowl when he was the quarterback. So he's brought success to that university anytime he's been involved. He's just a sharp guy. I really think Jonathan Smith could coach on Sundays. He really understands. He doesn't coach like a little rascal. He's supposed to punt. He's going to run when he's supposed to run. He's going to take advantage of using the clock when he's on offense so he could play towards his strong defense. So 4 points is just a lot of points. The money's even on this game, literally right down the middle. You got 50% of the public on one side, 50% on the other. So I'm expecting this to be a hell of a game with the elements and everything involved. I got to take the points, though, on this one. It's no way that I can give up any points. It'll be different if I feel like Washington could line up and just bully Oregon State, but they can't. They're going to have to throw the ball, and we're going to see how Michael Penix deals with throwing a wet ball. I know the Oregon State can play in the rain because they're going to play simple. They're going to run the ball, short passes to their tight end, try to get 4 or 5 yards of play. Whereas in Washington and the way Caleb DeBoer's offense works that he brought from Fresno State, they like to air it out and get chunk plays. And we'll see how that's affected by the weather tonight. I just trust what Oregon State brings to the table. They're just a really, really, really good program, man, and they're really solid. The Beavers are 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games, following a straight-up win. They're 7-0 in their last 7 games, following a straight-up win of more than 20 points. They're 6-1 in their last 7 games after scoring more than 40 points, and they're 6-1 in their last 7 games. Most importantly, we need to remember on field turf. It's a big difference between playing on grass and playing on field turf, whereas in the Huskies are 0-4 against the spread in the last 4 games overall, man. So I think you got a team that's really tough. The Beavers are 8-2 against the spread in the last 10 meetings in Washington. So I'll be on Oregon State +4. Matter of fact, you can put that one in now, Spread.
I just did. So I'm excited for that. Let's move to Saturday. Kentucky is going to take on Missouri. That game's a pick-em. How should we approach this one?
That's one of the games that I actually gave out on 97.5. I'm going to be all over Missouri. Missouri is a good team, and the only people who really pays attention to Missouri is the books. Like everyone else probably is going to be on Kentucky. I think the money was like 81% Kentucky, 19% Missouri. Kentucky's quarterback, Will Levis, is getting all this hype. He's supposed to be possibly the number 1 draft pick coming out, and I don't know what people are seeing. I even asked Lance Erline on the show, you know that Lance literally works for the NFL Network, is the top guy. Him and Daniel Jeremiah are the top 2 guys on NFL Network for doing, you know, draft stuff and for scouting, and he doesn't see it really either about Will Levis. So I don't know. He got a great marketing team or something. For some reason, they think that this guy is going to be a good NFL player. But last week against Tennessee, man, they came off a bye and he only completed 16 passes for 98 yards and threw 3 picks off a bye. So that's troubling to me. Now they're going on the road to Missouri. Missouri's been a tough team all season at home. They challenged the Georgia Bulldogs more than anyone. They really should have won the game. Georgia had an unbelievable fourth quarter to end up stealing that game from Missouri. Now, I just like what Missouri does. They got a really good, improving quarterback who plays very tough in Brady Cook, one of those kids that can throw the ball and run it, but most of all, he's tough, and he brings that toughness to his team. The difference in this game is going to be the home field advantage because they're pretty much the same mirrors of each other. They're both teams that struggle on offense, but have really formidable defenses and defensive-minded coaches. The Cats, though, are 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games following straight up loss. So when they get down on themselves, they stay down. Missouri, on the other hand, is 4-0 against the spread versus teams with winning records. More impressively for the program is that they're 4-0 against the spread in the conference and 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games in November, which means that as the season goes on, Missouri tends to get stronger. I just got to ride with Missouri on this game. I like what they're doing a lot, and I think that the public is getting caught up in name. More people know Kentucky, more people know Will Levis. You're getting a lot of backdoor money now because now Missouri's went up to like 30%. When I picked them, it was 80 to 19% on the public money. It was only 19% of the money was on Missouri. I think a lot more money will be coming in before kickoff. So we're going to ride with Missouri. The lines went from +1 to a pick 'em, and I like Missouri to win and win fairly easy.
All right, just put that one as well. Let's talk about Maryland heading to Wisconsin. Wisconsin laying 5, and you had some updates on the weather for that one, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be ugly. It's raining all day today in Madison, and it's going to rain all day tomorrow, and the winds will be 30 miles per hour. So good luck with that, Tagovailoa, and the Maryland program. We'll talk about this one a little bit more. I'm actually going to give it out on the Ball and Parlay.
All right, let's move on then to Baylor. +3.5 taking on Oklahoma. What are you thinking about this one? This should be a hard-fought game.
Definitely a hard-fought game. Oklahoma scores a lot of points. They can really play when Dylan Gabriel's in there, but they have difficulty stopping people. They have a difficult time being able to stop opponents, and it's weird because their coach is a defensive specialist, but it's different when you're coaching under Dabo and now you're coming over and running your own program. I like Dave Aranda for Baylor. I rarely bet against him. He's one of the sharper guys in coaching, in my opinion. I think he's always has his guys ready and prepared, even if the performance doesn't say that on the field. It's not because of him. He gave them the right game plan. And I really believe that Baylor's able to stay in this game. Baylor's a really, really, really balanced team. They play defense and their offense is coming on. They dominated Texas Tech last week. And I really believe that they'll stay in this game with Oklahoma. So I won't be playing this game, at least initially. I might jump in live, but if I did play it, I'd definitely be on Baylor +3.5 on the road.
Texas heading to K-State. -2.5 for the Longhorns. This should be a fun game. What are you thinking here?
That's a weird number to me, with Texas being favored after the performance that we saw last week from Kansas State. So that's going to make me look at that game with a little bit of precaution because I don't understand how Kansas State is at home. They just shellacked Oklahoma State. I think it's the first time Oklahoma State hasn't scored in conference. They literally blanked them. They didn't allow any points, 48-0. So I don't know. Maybe they think this will come down because Texas just lost at Oklahoma State 34-41. So I'd be very leery of this line with them having Texas favored. Texas has beaten Kansas State the last 5 times. Kansas State is playing with their backup quarterback. Remember, we said that if he played, he would be a problem for the offense, but he played his butt off. He showed up. Will Howard went 21-37. He had 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions and almost threw for 300 yards. He is a veteran. He's been with the program a long time. I just don't understand why Texas is favored in this game at all. It has to be a trap number because when I look at this game, even though Texas had a lot of success against them in the past and Texas is coming off of a bye, Kansas State is good, man, and they have a great coach. Their coach came from North Dakota State, and he's a really, really good coach, man. I don't know, man. It's 68% of the money on Texas, so I'll probably be on Kansas State plus 2.5 in this one, man.
All right, K-State. Let's see if they can get it done. Alabama takes on LSU, right? LSU laid a dud in their opening game, and that was against Florida State, I believe. Since then, they've been great, right? I mean, the team's really found a role here. Now they're catching 13.5 at home, but it's always tough to bet against Nick Saban, right? So we're kind of in a dilemma, right? We want to take these home dogs, especially in college where the home field matters so much, but we don't want to bet against Nick Saban. How do we approach this dilemma?
I'm an LSU fanatic. That's, I grew up rooting for the Tigers, and, a lot of my family went to LSU. I almost chose it. I ended up going to Louisiana Lafayette for a little while and then ended up at Grambling as well. But I think that LSU covers this game. 13.5 points is a lot of points to give up. I know the Crimson Tide are coming off a loss to Tennessee, so they're going to be fired up. And we know that the way that Saban coaches, he looks to blow people out after a loss because he has to get his team back in the picture, back what people are talking about the team. LSU plays really good offense. Like their defense struggles though. So maybe the pick on this game would be the over because I think that LSU is able to move the ball on Alabama. I'm a huge fan of Jaden Daniels. I was talking about him last year's one of the Pac-12's best quarterbacks when he was at Arizona State. And I'm so glad he's at LSU now where he can get on the national stage and show people his talents. He's been really good this year, man. He's literally their offense, and he shows so much heart when he plays. That's what I like about him. Like whatever needs to be done for him to win, he's going to do it. Whether it's tucking the ball and running over the defender, whether it's outrunning the defender to the sidelines to get a first down, whether it's throwing a great pass, whatever it is, he's going to do whatever it takes to win. But he's facing an Alabama team that's going to be very upset coming off a loss. They're going to be very motivated after losing to Tennessee for the first time. So it's a very tough game. If I lean anywhere, I'd probably lean Alabama first half, -6.5 or -7, depending on what book you're at. And the only reason why is because I know they're going to be fired up from what happened. And I know that LSU tends to start slow. LSU has been a second half team this season. They've been really good in the second half. So I'd probably look for Alabama to have the lead going into halftime, but I think LSU covers on the back door. If you're going to play this game at all, look toward the 56.5. It's supposed to be some bad weather in Baton Rouge on Saturday. How bad, I do not know. I don't know if it's going to be enough to affect the passing game. I don't know if it's going to be a lot of wind at all, but it's definitely supposed to be wet in Baton Rouge on Saturday. So it's a 100% chance of rain. So it's going to be raining. We just don't know if the wind is going to affect the game. Right now, it's like 9-10 miles an hour, so that won't. But like I said, I expect this game to be high scoring even with the rain because both teams play a style of football that is about scoring. They're not trying to, pound the ball like the old LSU and Alabama teams of the past.
All right. Talk to me about Notre Dame. They're going to host Clemson this week. And we were kind of excited about this new coach when they made the switch last year. Haven't been the results that Notre Dame's fans necessarily wanted. What are you seeing with the Fighting Irish, and how do you think they fare against Clemson this weekend?
Notre Dame took our money last week, and I got to say Clemson all day because I love Clemson's defense. I love the culture that Dabo Swinney has in place. His defensive line is the best defensive line in the country. So I don't think that Drew Penny has much success against them, but Notre Dame does have a great tight end in Meyer. They have a couple of good running backs. Brian Kelly left the Notre Dame team stocked. Yeah, they're stocked, man. They have a lot of talent over there. It's all about their new head coach being able to get it out of those guys. I know he's trying to bring the swag and the coolness to Notre Dame, for future recruits and all of that stuff. And this will go a long way if they can win against Clemson at home. I'll be forgiven about that Marshall game that they lost at home if he could pull this one out. One thing that I do know is that it's way too much public money riding on Clemson right now. It's like 80% of the money is on Clemson, man. And that always scares me. It seems like the books never lose these type of games when it's them against the public and it's one-sided. So I don't know if Clemson wins by 3. I don't know if Uiagalelei is the quarterback this week. I'm still waiting to hear about that because they were playing the kid out of Texas who finished up the game and ended up winning it when they almost lost against Syracuse. But you got Dabo is coming off a bye, so it's just going to be a real funny game. But me, I'm always go with the better team, regardless of what. I don't want to get too caught up in the information that it makes me see past common sense. And common sense is that you got Drew Penny, who's a 5'9", 5'10" quarterback, can barely see over the line and isn't that athletic, but he is kind of accurate going against a Clemson defense with so much speed. Their D-line probably is faster than Drew Penny. All 4 of the guys, even the 300-pounders. So, with that in mind, I got to like Clemson, but I would not be surprised if Notre Dame covers this game.
All right, there you have the winners for Saturday into Sunday, the National Football League. And here's a game that I really wanted to talk to you about because it just seems too easy. My numbers have this a lot higher. And I was talking about the Indianapolis Colts, who will head to New England to take on the Patriots. And it just seems too easy, right? I mean, Belichick crushes young quarterbacks. And then we talked about it before we started the show. Sam Ehlinger isn't even like a guy that we rated as an NFL level quarterback, right? So it's one thing to crush a Trevor Lawrence or a Zach Wilson or a kid that's got plenty of talent, right? That looks ready, that looks physically able to compete at the NFL level. I don't even see Sam Ehlinger having the physical skills to be an NFL quarterback. And what this signaled to me when they made the move was, hey, we made another mistake with this veteran. We're not the Raiders of 1980, right? We're not going to be able to pull a Jim Plunkett or a Rich Gannon off the scrap heap and turn him into an MVP. Maybe we need to draft a quarterback, right? Let's throw the young quarterback we have in there now. It doesn't necessarily ruin the mood in the locker room because Ryan hasn't been performing, right? So it's not like you're benching this guy that's been out there, right? You can't argue that Ehlinger doesn't deserve a shot. But I think realistically, everybody knows this is going to lower their position. And hey, why fight all year just to get crushed by either the Bills or the Chiefs, in the first or second round? So I believe the Indy's doing the right thing, but I also believe this team is a little bit overvalued. Jonathan Taylor's not having a good season. The line isn't as dominant as it used to be. And you can argue maybe Ehlinger's the worst starting quarterback in the NFL right now. I know this is a tough argument because there's a couple that are really bad. But I have the Patriots at -7.5. It's only -5.5. I want to bet New England, but I want to talk to you about it first. What are your thoughts?
It's New England a pass for me simply because this is Sam Ehlinger's first game on the road. He's going to be playing against a coach who has dominated first-time starters and rookies. That's what he does. He gives them really difficult looks. Sam Ehlinger is one of those guys that he's not going to beat you with his ability to break down the game at the line or be able to get to second and third reads. He's going to beat you off of heart and just a whole lot of hustle and playing hard and, finding plays on second reaction. And I just don't know if he'll be able to do anything against the Patriots defense. I just can't see him do anything against the Patriots defense. Therefore, I'm with you on this one. It's New England a pass for me on this game.
All right. There's a home favorite I like there. A home dog that I like is the Atlanta Falcons going against the Los Angeles Chargers. We've talked about the king of the Little Rascals, Brandon Staley. And, hey, the guy said, I'm so smart. I don't need to bother stopping the run. We'll just stop the pass. Well, hey, buddy, that's not going to work in the National Football League. They're taking that stopping the run for granted because the reason it's hard to run in the National Football League, all the linebackers and defensive linemen are great athletes now. You don't have any more of those, just slow guys that are just sitting there to plug the middle. So it's really hard to run on these teams, but you simply can't give up the running game. And what do the Falcons like to do? They like to run the ball. I mean, let's be honest. Arthur Smith has no faith in Marcus Mariota. No faith at all. I mean, it's like that, almost like Malik Willis with Vrabel, right? They're just like, hey, your role here is to get the people in place, take the snap, and hand the ball off. And hey, it's been working, right? I think that a lot of times with this new too high, the NFL is a copycat league. Everyone went to a passing offense. Now everyone's running to too high defense. Well, how do you beat that? You run the ball. And I think the Falcons are taking advantage of that. They might have Cordell Patterson back this week, but even so, that guy Algier is really good as well. Mariota's great on the ground. Might not be fun for fantasy watching Drake London and Kyle Pitts not get any targets, but I think the Falcons are able to run the ball up and down the field, which is going to keep the scoring down because it should be a lot of time just ticking off the clock. Those points become more valuable. I like the Falcons +3 at home. What are your thoughts here?
But even though I don't want them to win because they're a game up on my Saints right now in the NFC South, but everything points to them being able to run the ball against the Chargers. The Chargers just aren't good against the run. They're 27th at stopping the run in the whole league. And, Atlanta's 5th in the league, and then they might have Patterson back. But even if they don't, they have Huntley and Algiers, as you said. And the thing about Arthur Smith is, especially with him being an offensive lineman, former offensive lineman, and he coming from the Titans, he got the job from Tennessee from running the ball with Derrick Henry. And he has not stopped that at Atlanta, even though Atlanta really doesn't have the personnel that the Titans have. He's made those guys a lot tougher on the offensive line, and he's made those guys a lot tougher on the defensive line, and they run the ball. The problem that Atlanta is going to have is going to be able to stop the pass. As you know, Justin Herbert, he is hurt. He hasn't played well this year, so maybe he's motivated to get a win. Maybe he cares more than the little rascal and steps up and plays big ball because, as you saw by that play that they allowed to Moore last week, that was just unexcusable. Atlanta defensive backs are terrible. They're last in the league at stopping the pass. And
they do get AJ Terrell back this week, though. That should help.
They get him back. That should help. That should definitely help. He's their number one. But it's just that it just depends on how the Chargers locker room is. The Chargers have a much more talented team than the Falcons. Now, had the locker room decided we don't want this guy coaching us, and we know if we go ahead and suck the rest of the season, we're going to get rid of him, and they'll bring Sean Payton in. Or are they fighting for Lil Staley and saying, hey, we want this guy. This is our guy. Brandon's our guy. Let's try to keep him in there. That's what's going to determine this game, if the Chargers want to, because they have the better team. They're coming off a bye, so they should be a lot healthier than they were the previous week. Off the muscle, looking at this game, it could go either way. The Falcons could win a close one, or the Chargers could blow them out. It's not going to be, the other way around where the Falcons blow them out or the Chargers win a close one, because we know Brandon Staley's horrible in close games because of the decisions that he makes with fourth downs and not taking field goals and things like that. So I'm going to pass on this game because I like the Chargers, if they win, to win by more than 3. And I do think the Falcons can keep it close, but you have to be careful because they struggle offensively. So that 3 isn't a real big number against a team that can really throw the ball around. One of the better young quarterbacks in the league, and you got a defense that really struggles stopping the pass. I mean, look how the Carolina offense threw the ball on them last week. So with PJ Walker, so I'd be, very careful trying to fade Justin Herbert.
Let's talk about PJ Walker as he and the Panthers head to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. So this is a rough one. I have this game at around 9 or 10, right?
Yeah.
Big edge on the Bengals. Here's the problem, though, with just running numbers. Did I accurately adjust for Jamar Chase being out? Because you got to think my sample size every single game, except for the last one, is going to be including Jamar Chase in the offense. We know this guy's one of the top 5 receivers in the NFL. We know how he can break a game. We saw that just a couple weeks ago where he's turning short gains into first downs, right? I mean, what an advantage for a quarterback to not have to throw beyond the sticks when you have a guy that's such an athlete. Hey, 3rd and 8, I can throw it 5 yards and he's going to get there for me. Still, the Bengals have great weapons in T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. Panthers maybe a little bit overvalued coming off, a game they should have won against the Atlanta Falcons. Interesting to see how the team responds to that defeat. You know, they had a great chance to build some momentum because if they would have pulled that off with either the extra point or making the field goal in overtime, they're the ones in first place and not the Atlanta Falcons. And after this lost season and they're a terrible team, they're looking pretty good under a new head coach. And hey, you know, the XFL guy turned out to be better than the two blue chip prospects, Darnold and Mayfield, right? Yeah. Better than the 1 and 2 picks, right? Shows you how tough scouting quarterbacks is in the NFL. So I lean towards the Bengals here, but I'm worried that I'm making a numbers play and not accurately assessing the loss of Jamar Chase. Do you think Burrow and company can get it done against the Panthers team that, to be fair, even though they competed last week, I still don't have them rated that highly?
I'm on the Panthers on this game or no play for me. I just like everything that's going on with Wilkes. Don't get me wrong, the Bengals have a very solid defense, but it's just a lot of fight right now that Carolina showed since they replaced their coach and went with Wilkes, man. They're really responding to him. He has 2 running backs that have played their tails off. You know, Chuba Hubbard went off first, and then the next week, Deontay Foreman went crazy. So they're running the ball. If you're running the ball, you have a chance against anybody. P.J. Walker is looking like, you know, a really good player. Like he can, you know, he's one of the could be a starter in the league in the right situation. He's always shined a lot in games that he played in the lesser professional leagues, XFL and such. He was the MVP of those leagues, and he looks like he's a really solid quarterback. And Carolina's defense, since Wilkes has taken over, is no joke. They've been playing ball, putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and I think they can turn over Burrow a couple times, man. I think that Burns can get to him, and I think that those corners for Carolina, they're going to have a easier time with the receivers with Chase out. Chase is the thing. He's the guy that takes the top off the defense. T. Higgins, not as much. Tyler Boyd, not as much. They're more 15-yard dig route runners and 15-yard and in route runners. They don't really go over the top too much on you know, go routes. That's Chase's thing, you know. So we're going to see because, you know, that's his guy. They're very close. And when things get bad, he can always trust to go to Chase. The big jump that you saw in his career with Burrow in the league and them getting to the Super Bowl coincided with them drafting Jamar Chase.
Right.
I'm on Carolina +7 this game. I like what Carolina's doing. I think they could keep this game close simply from the style that they play.
This is why I like talking to you. I don't need to bet every NFL game. So, and also I'm not rushing to the window to lay 7, right?
No.
Right. I mean, it's pretty easy to talk me off taking a big favorite, even if they're at home. The Seahawks are catching 2 in Arizona. Now they played, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago in Seattle. We thought it was going to be a huge game in daily fantasy, right? I remember I stacked my lineups up. And I think the final score was, 19-12. It wasn't a high-scoring game at all. Of course, that's in Seattle. Now you're in Arizona, indoors, the fast track, and Kyler's got DeAndre Hopkins back. You know me, I'm overly pessimistic about Kyler, but I'm aware of that bias. I am aware. So that's why I want to talk to you. I like the Seahawks here. But I'm worried that, you know, hey, I'm too biased and I'm not looking at the situational aspect where, you know, I know Arizona hasn't played well at home, but they're still at home. And with DeAndre Hopkins back, it's almost like with the Jamar Chase thing. Throw all those previous numbers out the window because I think that he means that much to that team. And you can say, oh, this and that, right? But every quarterback needs a great wide receiver, right? I know Tom Brady pulled it off for like 3 or 4 years there towards the end in New England. But that's not the way you win in the NFL. Look at the rest of these teams that are doing well. They have a really good quarterback, and they have a great wide receiver to go ahead and complement them. With DeAndre Hopkins, the Cardinals have that. Do you think the little rascal Cliff Kingsbury can get the win against the OG Pete Carroll here?
Kingsbury is losing that locker room. He won't be around next year. When Kyler cussed him out on live TV, and when they broke down the film and saw that what he was telling them was calm down, that was not a good look. You know, that's not a good look when your quarterback is having to tell the head coach to calm down. that means something is not going right with this coach. They don't trust him. They're way too comfortable. Like, you think of Tom Brady would ever yell at Bill Belichick? We saw Tom Brady cuss out everyone on that sideline with New England. You ever saw him cuss out Bill Belichick? You ever see Drew Brees raise his voice?
He cussed out my guy McDaniels all the time now.
Yeah, exactly. Because he was his OC and he looked at him as a little twerp. But he respected Bill Belichick. It's no respect level in that locker room for Kingsbury. They're not playing for him. This is the most troubling stat. Arizona is 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 versus the NFC West. That's just, they're not winning division games. And then now it's really hurting them because you're seeing the guy that used to be the coach there that they only gave a year go to Carolina and have some immediate success with nobody's. So Kingsbury's on the way out, man. The Seahawks are 6-2-1 against the spread in their last 9 meetings in Arizona. Pete Carroll is the OG. Him and Belichick, you don't even have to look at the public numbers with them because they could care less what's going on. They're going to coach, and they're going to have their teams ready. That defense is growing. He has young kids who are really listening to him and buying in, and that's all a guy like Pete Carroll needs, man. He's always been a great strategist and always a great motivator, too. So with this game, for me, it'll be Seattle or pass, just simply because with that short number, there's no way I'm taking Arizona to win at home with the past record they've had at home and also the energy of that locker room. I don't think anyone respects Kingsbury, so I think they're kind of out on him.
Everybody loves Sunday night football. Hey, if Thursday night's the worst product of the week, Sunday might be the best product of the week, right? They got a great broadcasting team, and they always seem to find great games. The Tennessee Titans, this team's 5-2. This team is 5-2. And they're catching 13 points with the Kansas City Chiefs. As much as I dislike the Little Rascals, I love me some Mike Vrabel as a head coach, right? Hey, may not design the most brilliant offensive plays. You know what he does? He teaches his guys how to tackle. When's the last time you see a Titans guy miss a tackle in space, right? Turns a 3-yard run into an 8. They don't. Not a surprise that a middle linebacker can teach his guys the fundamentals here. So we are opposite here. I like the Tennessee Titans, but, you're telling me, hey, don't trust Malik Willis here. Andrew Reid, of course, coming off the bye. You think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to make a statement and blow this team out. Line is 13. Tell me why you think Kansas City is the right side here.
The lines actually came down to minus 11.5. I'm seeing in some shops, which is good for me. Kansas City.
Yeah, I got 13 still offshore at Bookmaker. It is juiced to the 13, though.
Kansas City is going to win this game by 2 touchdowns. And the reason why is because last year, the Titans were the only team to ever keep the Mahomes and Andy Reid tandem out of the end zone. They didn't score a touchdown. And Mahomes has a long memory. I gave this game out on 97.5. I really think that it's going to be a Kansas City party, especially if Malik Willis plays. Kansas City's defense is a lot better than people give it credit for. I think that they get after Malik Willis. He can't read defense as well, and so they will have to beat you running the ball, and that would be okay if Derrick Henry wasn't also hurt. Derrick Henry is dealing with a bad foot. We don't even know if he's going to play. If he does play, how close to himself is he going to be? I just feel like it's too easy when you can just sit on the run for a team as good as Kansas City and is well coached. And also they have a lot of motivation with their past record against Tennessee. Tennessee has been one of those guys, one of those teams that they have really had issues with. One of the few teams in the league that Andy Reid has the losing record to. He's 2-9 against the Titans throughout his career. So I think that they'll have their full attention. He had a whole week to get ready. So don't be surprised if they come out with some really great offensive plays. And I think Mahomes gets a little payback. If they beat them by 24 last year, look for Mahomes to try to win by 20 this year and to kick them while they're down. That's why they're 5-2 and receiving 13 points from the book, because the book sees this game the same way as I do, with Kansas City coming off a bye, which is Andy Reid's 18-2 off a bye, 19-2, off a bye. And you also have the revenge factor in this game. I think that you don't have to worry about Tennessee having their attention. So I'm laying the points with Kansas City in this one.
All right, there you have it. There's our college and NFL breakdown. But hey, you gave a great pick yesterday. Now I need to know what to do with it. Let's go to the future. Yesterday, hey, you said take the Astros plus 160. If we want, we can hedge in game 6 when they win game 5 tonight. Now we're here, but boy, this team seems to have a lot of momentum. I'm thinking about letting it ride. What do we do with that ticket that we placed yesterday for the Astros to win this series 4-2?
Yeah, we got the Astros in 6. I got it plus 170. You got plus 160. We're in a great position for tomorrow. Early numbers are showing that Framber Valdez is at minus 130. Framber is one of the most clutch pitchers on the Astros roster. I want to say, to me, he's probably right behind Javier as a guy you could trust in these big games. Throws a lot of curveballs. One thing about him is he does keep the bases muddy. So if Philadelphia can come through with any clutch hits, they might be able to produce some runs against him. But if he can work his way out of jams, which he's done all year, and why he's one of the contenders for the Cy Young, Framber is an amazing pitcher, probably the best curveball pitcher in the league right now. I just got to, ride it out. I think. Like remember we spoke before the show started. If Philly scores first, if the Astros score first, then I'll hit the Phillies. But right now we got all the momentum. First time the Astros can ever close out a game in Houston. It's going to be rocking in there. I just don't think the Astros let this opportunity slide. So I think I'm going to just hold on to the plus 170 that we got and take the Astros and 6 and cash that ticket.
What they want, and that's the Ball and Parlay. We'll go ahead and start with you. What do you like?
Man, Wisconsin -5. This is a element play. It's going to be horrible at Camp Rounder. It's supposed to be really, really wet. It's going to rain all day today and all day tomorrow. But most importantly, the winds are going to be 35-mile-per-hour gusts. It's already difficult enough to play at Camp Rounder when all those kids out there jumping around and all that stuff. It's going to be rocking. But now you have a team coming in there in Maryland who's a pretty much finesse team. Don't get me wrong, they can run the ball, but they like to throw it around. Their coach, Mike Loxley, is an offensive guy. That's when he was at Alabama. He's one of the guys that coached Tua and kind of put in that system that they use. And he has Tua's little brother over there now. Tagovailoa just came off an injury. He was hurt the prior week. He's dealing with some ankle injuries. So he's not going to be full strength, and he's going against a defense that is Wisconsin. Jim Leonard always has that defense ready, and now he's the head guy, so he takes a lot of pride in that defense. But the surprising thing is that even though he's a defensive coach, Graham Mertz, the quarterback for Wisconsin, has played completely better since he's taken over. Matter of fact, the last 3 games, he's thrown 9 touchdowns and only 1 interception. It's completing 60%. I just think Braylon Allen and those guys for Wisconsin are built for these conditions. I think the linebacker play and the D-line play for Wisconsin overwhelms Maryland. And I think with the elements involved, I got to go with Wisconsin -5.
All right. And we didn't talk much NBA tonight. We it's a football show, great football weekend coming up. But I am going to go to the National Basketball Association for my play tonight. I'm taking Kristaps Porzingis over 33.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Kristaps only averaging 21 and 8.5 this year, right? So you're thinking on the points and rebounds. But guess what he did the last 2 games against the Philadelphia 76ers when Joel Embiid was out? And that was he put up 30 and 9, and then he put up 32 and 9, 2 games in a row. Why? Because he's 7'3", going against guys that are 6'10", right? Yeah. And they tried to run out PJ Tucker. They didn't put Paul Reed in there. I don't know why, but hey, I'll take it. But same thing tonight. And Kyrie Irving's out, which means Kevin Durant's going to have to shoulder more of the offensive load. Is he really going to want to try and tangle with the guy that's 7'3"? No. That job's going to fall to Nico Claxton. And while I think that Nico Claxton is a fine player, developing well, and if the Nets are ever going to make him run, they're going to need him to continue to develop. I think he's just too small to deal with the man of Porzingis' size. You're true 7'3", right? And he loves to hit that bank shot just right over you. And I think it's going to be another case of that tonight. Porzingis kind of struggled in Dallas because he wasn't a great fit with Luka, but I think he fits really well with Bradley Beal because not only can he space the floor when Beal wants to drive, he can work down low and give Beal some space on the outside. I was a little worried about this pairing when they originally made it, but the idea was Porzingis, he's never stayed healthy before, and that was my concern with this team. He looks pretty good right now. He's putting up a lot here. He went over 40 the last couple of games against small centers, and he gets another small center tonight. So if Porzingis is healthy and he's not going against a guy his size, I'm going to continue to pound his props. I'm going to take Kristaps Porzingis over 33.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
All right, I like that. So spread scoring with Porzingis over 33.5 points, rebounds, assists. I'm taking Wisconsin -5, and as a bonus, we love ladies tennis, so we got the WTA finals going on, the year-end event. I'm actually, you guys see me keep peeping down now. I was watching this Alcaraz versus Rune match, and Alcaraz, of course, does just like his his hero, Nadal, and quits on us and stops Rune from cash, and he just retired in a tiebreaker.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
He just retired instead of letting the kid get the victory and letting the people cash on Rune plus 280. But anyway, it's just really weak. He's at that hurt. I'm watching it. He just quit. He got broke in the fourth game of the tiebreak and just quit down 3-1. Like, you could have still won the match, man. Like, what are you doing? But anyway, Sabalenka, we're going to roll with Sabalenka tonight. Pegula has not played well at the WTA finals. I've always said that I think that she doesn't play well in big matches or in big events. She's one of those ladies that's a grinder. She was a late bloomer. Her father is actually the owner of the Buffalo Bills. One of the better U.S. players, but she does not have anything for the Amazon Belarusian Sabalenka, man. Sabalenka, when she's locked in, her game on hard court is just too strong for Pegula, in my opinion. And I think Pegula is just pretty much trying to ride out this season and go drink her some more Heinekens and get back to New York. She's had a great season, the best season of her career. She's really played a lot better the last 2 seasons than anyone could have ever predicted, because she, as we said, she did not start fast in her career. She wasn't one of these young prodigies or anything. She's grinding for everything she's gotten. And now she's reaping the rewards of one of her better earning years, and I think that she's ready just to get the hell out of Dallas. And I think that Sabalenka sends her home today.
All right, so there you have it. Even got a bonus pick here on the wagering world. Can't wait to cash all these tickets this weekend.
All right, man. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. As always, you see me rocking the Forever Baked. We got a new project coming out with Baked and myself, that we're going to do a line, Baked Vegas. It's going to be all the products based on the show. We're going to have some stuff for Summerlin. We're going to have some stuff for myself. We're going to have some stuff for Keep the Damn Extra Point. So you guys look forward to all of that merch that's coming out soon. That me and Spread will be rocking on here every day real soon, man. And
I can't wait to rock that Kick the Damn Extra Point shirt.
Oh,
that's gonna get some love walking around.
Right. Wait till you see the design I got. I'll text it to you in a little bit. But you guys go check him out at bakedgss.com. As always, we appreciate you guys for tuning in to the Wagering World. Anything for the people before we get out of this Spread?
Cash more tickets this weekend. College basketball starts on Monday. It's time to make some money.
Let's make some money, man. Best of luck to you all. We'll see you guys on Monday.